everybody, so this is yesterday's piece. Now what's interesting, and I don't know if the camera's going to pick this up. Okay, so where we left off at is I had a really bright top here. It was too dark. I wanted a little bit of black because I knew I was going to outline my foliage in black. But they look like they belong to two different pieces. So what I did is, the very first thing I did was, because I had hand drawn this, I knew I had some smudge marks from the eraser that hadn't quite, by the way, I just finished this. I'm still looking to touch it up. It's always good to look at it on camera to see. I almost find I can see my mistakes better in a photograph, or things I'd like to improve in a photograph more than staring at it. I'll take a photo and take a look at it and go, oh my God, look at that. Okay, so what I did is, the first thing I did is I cleaned up the areas around here underneath where the foliage was to make sure they were white. I had some black paint that I dropped. If you can get a close-up of this, you can barely see it, but I had dropped some black paint. Very heavy amount of black paint. I'm trying to get the light here. You can see a little bit of where that white is setting up. To really get good coverage, you're going to dab the paint on, like drop it on like a dabbing motion. Let's see if I can get a clean brush here. All my brushes are dirty from just doing this. Okay, but I literally did a dabbing motion, almost like I was stippling. And I just laid the paint in there and let it puddle up and let it dry. I had another little spot on this side too. I can't see it anymore where the black had gone, okay? But my real problem was, what was I gonna do with this top? Because the top was so flippin' intense, okay? I thought, well, I'll pull some of the Guatemalan green back in. Maybe I'll try a little bit of white. And when I was cleaning up around here in the white space, and maybe many of you have discovered this and already done it. It's logical what happened, but I didn't even think about it, okay? So as I was going around with my white paint to clean up, it hit a little bit of area right here. By the way, I have a big patch of white here drying because this is where it was really dark and black, okay? And I'm trying to make it look like it belongs, like there's gray kind of coming down and periwinkle and the Guatemalan green coming down. So what happened is the white got up into this area that had already been swiped, completely bone dry from yesterday. And of course the silicone was still active. I mean, we know silicone's a pain in the neck when we're trying to resin, right? But I never thought of coming back over and swiping again. And I just got to show you this one section. I don't know if it's going to show up very well on the camera. But look what happened with that turquoise there. See, here where I'm looking at it, it looks like a real beautiful teal because the lights are picking up, you're seeing the turquoise. But look at what happened. It almost kind of antiqued what was there. Because the silicone over there is where that periwinkle is. See that little bit of lilac? See those patterns? That was just me taking white paint and swiping it the opposite direction up to the top. And I actually took just plain old cardstock, little bitty pieces of cardstock, or a business card works because it has a little flex, but it's also a little bit stable. So I just cut up some cardstock and just started swiping the white over it, and I went, wow, look at this effect. It's resisting it. The silicone is still resisting, and I'm getting more of an antique look. Then what I did is I took the green pearl, which was my base that I used up here in the top where I was doing that original swipe. And what I did is, after this white had dried, I took the green pearl and started spreading it over the white, okay? Then I just randomly took little bits of my Guatemalan green that I had from yesterday's pour and just dropped my brush in it lightly, and while the paint was wet, drug a little bit of the Guatemalan green down. You'll see little tiny bits. I didn't use much of the lilac. I didn't use much of the periwinkle. But if you can see what's happening here, so that interference green or green pearl Little bits of Guatemalan green kind of drug down. I can see the little bit of purple over here from that periwinkle. It kind of has this really aurora borealis background that I was not anticipating at all. I am extremely happy with this piece, and I cannot wait until we get this sucker resined. I really am going to resin it. Now to resin this, it's a fairly dry piece. It's not like I've got a wet sloppy pour. So chances are this will cure well within 5 more days. It's already dried overnight. So that would give it a 6-day cure. Normally cure time on regular paint 72 hours, but I'm going to give it 6 days. Then what I'm going to do, and I can explain in a resin video, I know I keep talking about it, but I really want to do one this weekend. But what I'll do to counteract the silicone, because we know it's going to work, right? It's going to pit and resist the resin, is it was a happy accident when I discovered it. If you lay Liquitex lacquer over the top, you will be able to put resin on there. Let me say that again. I'm looking for my pieces here, and I think they may have gone into the other room because I have a couple of them resin to show. If you put the lacquer on top, and these are not resined, what I'm about to show you, but these have already been lacquered. See how shiny that is? So when I lacquered them, I literally, set this piece aside, I don't want to get anything on it. I literally, both of these have been lacquered and they're ready to resin. I took my lacquer and applied it one direction. You can go left to right or right to left, but just one direction. Do not put the brush back. You want to create a seal. What you're doing is creating a barrier. I did it on both of these. Then, a couple hours later, I went top to bottom. Okay? Now I've created a barrier this way and this way. Now I actually let that one dry overnight. I just really let that second layer dry. Then I went over with a third layer, the same direction that I went, left to right or right to left, okay? And now these are ready. By the way, this piece was I just have to show you, this is going to be so pretty when it's resin. This piece was a dirty pour that went awry. Then ended up swiping, and there's so much texture on here. All that texture is just going to pop under the resin. This is another one, a really strange dirty pour that went really, really weird. But when I swiped the black over, it's pretty. It came out really pretty. So anyway, I will eventually resin this big piece. I just wanted to do a quick recap for you guys because I promised you that. Part 1 is probably still uploading. It's supposed to be due, according to the computer. It should be up pretty soon. Okay, so I'll post this short little video up afterwards so you guys can see what it looks like. Hope you enjoy and learned a little something new. And you guys have a blessed day. Thank you. Bye-bye.